AI will not be responsible for outcomes, right? So if you're able to actually take artificial intelligence, and this is a must, every talent in our ecosystem to thrive, to compete with the world, you must be able to understand context and output, and then understand how to leverage AI to close the gap between context and output.
I will go about that because I've got this. Okay, so the next question is, what role does hybrid and remote work play in leveraging the playing field for African talent? And where do you see the biggest opportunities emerging?
I mean, look, at the end of the day, the remote work thing, we don't have a choice. I always thought that one of the biggest tricks that foreigners played on us was when they convinced our people to jackpot. Because the honest truth is that if we are telling ourselves the truth, it was the worst economic decision you could have made. And I know this because I have a lot of people that jackpot. I used to write, they know me very well in the embassy. I used to write everybody's recommendation. Even though I was telling people not to jackpot, I would still write a recommendation letter and wish you luck. But the truth of the matter is, when you left Nigeria, beyond the loss to the country, which is minimal, because there's many of you, so we don't care, what happened to you was that your income quite literally more than reduced. In fact, many of you were in negative, right? Because people will get a $4,000, $5,000 job, move to Canada, pay 40% of it in tax, right? And you're like, oh, the evil that Nigeria has done is enough. Well, at the end of the day, you're not saved money that can act as your nest egg. And now, a number of people who were dropped like it's hot by the big companies, now they don't have savings. So they have to come back to Nigeria and start all over again. Meanwhile, there were very smart young people that said, look, you know what, I'm just going to do remote work, right? I will travel when I need to see my teammates. I'll be here, maybe even move to, because the way I look at Lagos now, Lagos is as expensive as New York, so I don't even, me, I go to Ilorin, I have a house in Ilorin, I live in Yaba, I try to stay away from where you tech people spend money. Because if people are here, about bank budget, so you live below your means, you have robust savings, you can use those savings to build other developers who can build products. That gives you another nest egg because it's cash flow. You see what I mean? Then you take that money from products and you invest it in real estate. You can now be buying apartments in Lekki for the tech bros to be paying you in dollars. That's how you build an empire. And there are some people that came to me for advice early. Some of my, and I used to consult for them, just free investment advice. Some of them are making as much as $1 million in cash in the bank, right? And of course, we teach them how to better structure it and everything. So I think there was a big wealth creation opportunity that we were handed by God, and a lot of people just spoilt it because of emotion. And keeping up with the Joneses.
Do you think it's emotion though?
It was emotion. It was emotion. Because there's nothing that we're running away from that didn't meet us. Is it not US now that they are shooting each other? What's there? So there's nothing that we're running away from that was not where we were going.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So if we had thought strategically about what exactly it is we're doing, I think a lot of people have made very different decisions.
Okay, you're right. I mean, often on social media, I don't know if a couple of people have been saying some people that left Nigeria actually relocating back to Nigeria. We've had a lot of influx in 2025.
Oh, yes, I'm seeing all of you. I'm not going to pay those salaries, though. I'm just telling you, better adjust.
Okay, so the next question is, are there global sectors or niches where African professionals are uniquely positioned to lead or just to participate?
No, absolutely. I think one of them is AI, ironically. And I think it's because, at the end of the day, when you think about productivity, so if I have the same knowledge as AI does, right, in terms of, all those Substack posts and all the data that GitHub has sucked in to make coding better, AI is cheaper than me. So all that years of experience means nothing. You see what I mean? But if I'm coming into the field fresh, I don't have the pretense that I know something. So I'm not going to attempt to waste my time.
Right.
I'm just going to learn how to use the tools very well and then understand very quickly what AI doesn't understand. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So right now, I think we're best position to take advantage of artificial intelligence to actually be more productive. Because at the end of the day, we're not going to ask for what those people are asking for. Like, anybody who is hiring, right now, all the best AI engineers in the world, presumably, are in San Francisco. But that's not going to remain true for very long, right? Because by the time they finish training the AI, we'll have all the knowledge that they have, and then they will not know what we know here. We will be able to use their brain. They will not necessarily think it's valuable for them to use our own brain. So at the end of the day, what ends up happening? You know, we end up having the experience of these old engineers in Silicon Valley without having to spend all the money they must have spent on tutoring themselves, trial and error, time, all that. We won't need all of that. So I think if you're a talented person, just abandon everything else and go and focus on AI.
So AI,
don't do anything else.
laptop and then every other thing.
There's nothing else. After AI, nothing. There's nothing. Don't do anything else. Just focus on AI. Whatever you are doing, do the AI version of it. You are doing editing, find the AI tool. You are doing coding, find the AI tool. You are doing product development, find the AI tool. Be the best in the world at using it. And that's why we're building Learn to Earn, right? Because the idea for me is, in the next 10 years, I want to flood the world with AI talent. So when Mark Zuckerberg says he wants to pay $100 million for AI researchers, he should look foolish. Do you understand? Everybody like, why are you doing that? I can go to Nigeria and find like 10 people and they'll do it for you. Just like this AI researcher. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I want. So that's why we're building that talent base now, because we're not going to get, like, we don't have, I mean, these guys are spending $650 billion on servers. We don't have that kind of money anyway. How much is our economy, sir? Right? You understand that the whole economy, the whole GDP, everything, we don't get out. Eh? We're not going to necessarily have venture capital that will be chasing us with money to build stuff. No, you're not going to get that, right? You don't have the capital markets to fund that. So the only thing that we have is talent. So we have to drive that advantage to an extreme conclusion, such that Silicon Valley will be afraid.
I agree.
And India did a fantastic job of this. During the days of databases, during the dot-com boom, what India did was, they made sure that they were the guys who understood Oracle servers, MySQL, all that stuff very, very well, right? And now that the databases are transitioning again to artificial intelligence, we need to make sure we're the best in the world at anything AI related, and that we have ourselves in numbers. Once we have that kind of deep supply pool, it will be hard for the rest of the world to compete with Africa. They will give up.
I agree.
That's what we want to happen.
I agree. In fact, I am so proud to be a Nigerian, because I remember I went for an event in France last year, December. It was the Imagine Valley Conference in Marseille. And we had a lot of people having conversations on stage, speakers from various countries, and they kept saying, money point, Flutterwave, money point. I felt so proud to be a Nigerian, because everybody that climbed that stage used Flutterwave and money point as an example. And that just basically shows to the whole world that, again, we have talent in Nigeria. Nigerians are super smart. I mean, Nigeria is becoming the next San Francisco, I believe so, because we have really talent here. Okay, so the next question I want to ask you is around, I mean, you've done amazing work building multiple companies that went globally quite early, I must say. Quite early. I round of applause for him, please, because doing that is pretty amazing. You have unicorns on your belt. Future Africa is doing amazing work. Now you've created Learn to Earn. It's really amazing. So by doing this, what would you say is the hard choice or failure that must have reshaped your perspective on what it takes to compete globally?
Okay, so, I mean, I've had many failures. You don't get to where I am without failing a lot.
Yes.
But I would say that maybe the biggest failure was, in 2019, I actually tried to put somebody I think still is the most qualified person to ever run for president. I tried to get her to become president in this country. And because she was a woman and she was Igbo, the country rejected her. That's how I saw it, at least, I don't know. And then I realized that it's a waste of time trying to change the politics of this country. The people themselves don't understand what they need. And since, at the end of the day, democracy requires that they have input, it's a waste of time to engage them. You're better off kind of trying to do this through business. And that's why I switched back to mostly focusing on business. And, every now and then you get a very smart visionary leader in government, and you do as much as you can with them. But I mean, that failure was particularly painful for me because I thought that was a turning point. And look, at the end of the day, I have a bit more perspective. People are hungry. Their first concern is how do they eat. So why should they really care who is president? It doesn't matter. It's not necessarily going to change their life if you have a good president. That's just the reality, because it's president to so many layers below them. And I think that changed my general approach to policy and governance issues. I used to be very self-righteous, like a few of my obedient friends. But I've become a lot more cynical, just generally, about politicians and politics. And I think the best way to drive change is by building businesses that can actually deliver change and make profits. At the end of the day, the politicians still need money to run. So we'll give them the money and they allow us to run our business and make our change.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, guys, for a round of applause for him. So I have one last question, but I want to create a context around that question. When I met you a few years ago, that was 2023, I was fresh out of resigning from my 9 to 5 to crazily focused on Alex Boye World right now. And I remember that, again, I knew that I didn't have to rush to build what I wanted to build because, of course, I know whatever you need to build takes time. But again, there's no blueprint or somebody that would actually tell us exactly what we need to learn as a professional to actually be positioned globally. Like, how would you advise everyone here who is a professional doing amazing at their work? How would you advise them based on the unconventional path that accelerates global competition? Because there's a competition everywhere. So how would you advise these guys and myself?
So, look, at the end of the day, right, the first thing is that there is no blueprint. And in fact, the first rule of standing out globally is you cannot follow a blueprint to do it. If you follow a blueprint, you're going to look like everything else, right? Like, I mean, look at everybody who's really made it, right? Whether Elon Musk or Bill Gates, all their stories are different, right? Elon Musk went to school, Bill Gates didn't go to school. You know what I mean? Like, there are all many different ways to do it. So the first thing is being comfortable in your own skin and being authentic about your own journey. If you don't do that, you will never actually make it. You will never be able to stand up. You're going to look like another random MBA. There are so many of Harvard MBA grads. It's like there's like 10,000 of them in the world or something. It's just like they're just random. Everybody, they don't even know what the name of one from another. Except they've done something else. So don't follow a conventional path, because if you follow a conventional path, you go lost. Second thing, be very authentic and transparent about your journey. Share everything you know. At the end of the day, people cannot x-ray your brain to know what's inside. It's until you open your mouth and talk that they know that you know something. So don't be afraid to share what you know. And then the final thing is, always seek to create more value than you capture. I think a lot of people don't stand out globally because they miss out on opportunities to prove themselves because they are so worried about being underpaid. And the truth about being underpaid is it's only temporary. Like, at the end of the day, right, like, okay, when I was doing Andela, I always use this example. The total amount of money that I was paid at Andela for the 2.5 years I was there